Good afternoon, viewers of Civic Space TV. I welcome you to 2023, a very happy new year. And I welcome you to Community Voices UG, the program that comes to you every Monday afternoon. And we're so glad that you're still with us, even in this new year. My name is Ninsiima, your host today. And joining me today is a great panel that will be introducing themselves shortly to you. And we are looking at 2023 perspectives. I will invite my panel to introduce themselves to you, our dear viewers. And I will start with Beyanga.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucky. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year to my panelists, to our host, and to everyone listening in. I hope that everyone has begun the year well. My name is Beyanga, as Lucky has said. I work with Nation Media Group. I've been an editor for many years. I still am an editor, but currently I work as head of mentorship and partnerships with the group. And I also do mentorship with apart from the group, I also do mentorship with different institutions, universities. And like I said, I also do edit. I love to edit different kinds of things. So that's who I am in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol, for joining us this afternoon. Daniel?
Good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone. My name is Daniel Angulu. I work with the Luigi Giussani Foundation. I have been a youth trainer, majorly in the line of life skills and informal kind of skills for the youth for quite some time, nearly 10 years. But recently I moved to something different. I'm now working with refugees and the settlements, but though still working with the youth as well in the settlements. As per now, I'm a programs manager at Luigi Giussani Foundation. I think that is it for the introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. We are glad to have you. LIllian?
Good morning. Good afternoon, viewers. My name is LIllian Yikii. I'm a physiologist. So mostly I deal with family and couples. I work for myself, and I work under the Church of All Saints Cathedral, Nakasera. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear panelists. We are glad and humbled to have you. I will start off with Carol Beyanga. How has 2022 been like to you as a person and to the mentorship group, even to the carriers? How has it been like?
That's a difficult question, Lucky, because it has been many things. 2022 I think I would start as a parent, as a person. And I think for me, the biggest change was parenting, because the children went back to school after so many years. I mean, so many months, pretty much for one of them, almost 2 years away from school. So it was interesting. It was a shift back from studying at home to studying at school. It was having to make sure that they were, safe, masked up. And around that time, there were there was that influenza that went around. The children got sick. So one of our daughters got really sick a lot of the time. So, and I saw many parents going through the same. So it was a change. It was a shift for us from having to have staying at home or learning online to now going back to school. That was there. It was also a bit of a change, working from home now, sort of going back to the office or learning to start to work from home more of the time. That was a change I witnessed people struggling in, differently in different capacities. Some people enjoyed it, some people didn't enjoy it. So that was, I would say, as a person, those are the things I saw, those are things we had to adjust to. In terms of the mentorship where I work, I realized that people's challenges grew. So in terms of supporting people, in terms of helping them, sort of focus again on their careers, it was harder than the previous time when we had been doing, because things had changed, things had shifted. People had realized now my job is no longer necessarily, I can't say I'm safe and that I have this job for the next 5 years. It may be gone. For example, for those of us in journalism where we saw it was very difficult. So I realized that people were struggling with different things. People were thinking about their jobs and how they may not be secure, about thinking, how do I, have a steady stream of income and not depend on my employer to keep me employed. I saw, those were some of the challenges that I saw. But I also saw, I think I saw there was growth in some people, there was growth in areas. There were those who decided that it was time to sort of, man up, woman up, and take challenges by themselves. They decided that it was time for them to start thinking, for their own future, whether some of them were university students, some of them were already at work. So I saw that people were beginning to think, out of the box, beginning to realize that things can change. And I need to be ready for whatever change comes, having gone through all this. So that was 2022 for me, the things that we saw, the things that I dealt with personally, and the things I saw. Of course, also there was, as people have kept singing and singing, the economy. Things have, the inflation rose a bit, things have gotten quite expensive. I still can't believe how much a bunch of matoke costs. It's just mind-boggling. The fuel prices were, they really stressed out people. So there were a number of things that happened in 2022 that I think we'll look back on and hope that this year, 2023, will be a better year.
Thank you so much, Carol. That was really elaborate. You reminded me of lockdown. I had forgotten about it. Oh my goodness. This year has really been long. LIllian, how has it been, especially with marriages and families? How has 2022 been?
Oh my God. What do I have to say? But actually, we give God the glory, because coming out of lockdown, 2022 was a little bit challenging, but a lot went on. I don't know people are getting married, but people were learning more about what was all about marriage, because there are a lot who are in marriage, but they don't know what marriage was all about. And also couples were having issues tolerating, especially being together. Some have not been together for a very long time. These distant relationships of marriage. And at the time the lockdown came and everyone are coming to stay together, it was really a challenging time. And you had a lot of couples planning for divorce, coming into divorce. You started having challenges in family. Children are not willing to listen to parents. They are not so excited being at home, because all their mind is school, because these parents are not used to staying with them, which it's a very big challenge that we parents really need to try as much as possible to share that bond with our children. Because when you are talking to even the young ones, parents are not even able to talk to their children without even looking for counseling. When they find a counselor, they will say, okay, please, you come talk to my child, because they are not able to share that bond. And even while sharing the bond with the kids are not even free telling their parents, this is what is going on with me. But they are able to discuss with you as a counselor, this is what is going on. So this lockdown was during this 2022, as parents were trying to pick up the challenges that was on their life with marriage, with issues at home, staying together really affected a lot. And the children also affected them. So kids were so excited even going back to school. They were so excited when you hear them talking. He said, I'm happy I left home, So it was really a challenging period, which I really mean that this new year while these children at home, I feel parents should try as much as possible to bond with their kids. Because when we take them out of ourselves and send them out to boarding school, it's another total thing we are really into. So 2022 has been ups and downs, but I believe that this 2023 we are in, we pray that God will intervene and see how to walk into families and walk into marriages so that our life can go on.
Thank you so much, LIllian. And I believe the believers have said amen. Daniel, you work with youth. You've had all these challenges that these ladies went through. How has it been like, especially with the youth in this 2022 that we ended?
Oh, thank you, Lucky. To start off, I would say, from my side, one of the things that I think I would summarize 2022 into is actually there was a revival of hope. When the lockdown came in, everyone was scared of what it might turn out to be. Because, you know, it reached a certain moment when it intensified and there were lots of issues here and there. But at the end of it all, when things started normalizing and the lockdowns were lifted and curfews were lifted and people resumed, you know, the normal kind of progress of work and things like that, yeah, a ray of hope was kind of seen. Then when it comes to the youth, 2022 to me, I would say has been quite challenging for most of them. You know, most of the times that the unemployment rate has been high. So when the lockdown came in and also the existing opportunities were closed, it became a little bit tricky for the youth. As when you look at the year 2022, opportunities are just being created. People are starting, people are resuming with their businesses, people are opening up offices, people are moving away from the virtual kind of work that they had been doing previously, and maybe now full-time work is coming into play. But the challenge has now been to the youth because, you know, most of the people have gone back to the normal employees that they had, and it still created a lot of unemployment levels amongst the youth. The other thing, I think it also inspired them a little bit, because if you look at how things have changed now, I remember, I think Carol said something about people now becoming creative in certain ways. People are looking for avenues of how best they can, you know, try to make a living for themselves. And that is something I've seen in 2022. 2022 had this kind of aspect where people have moved away from just looking at the normal kind of trend of, let me say, I have a degree in this, so I'm going to look at that and follow it up. People have decided to move and look outside the box. I would give one of the things that I'm seeing currently happening. I'm seeing people using social media platforms to make money. And it is something that I find quite interesting, though others are also using it for the negative, because I'm also seeing it creating an atmosphere that is somehow also taking the wrong turn for some youth who usually do not really get to understand how this whole social media kind of thing operates. So for me, I would say 2022 has been a year that was good somehow, but also it had its challenges. When you look at the economy, the issue of the economy, prices going high here and there, it still comes back, especially, you know, when you talk about an issue of inflation. Recently, I was talking to someone that when you go to a fuel station to refuel your car and you put fuel of 50,000, it's like you have not done anything, because maybe the fuel gauge is just going to move one little bit. But there are people who are not affected by that because maybe they have fuel cards and for them it is normal. So there are others who are really affected, and then there are also others who are actually okay and they have no problem with it. So I would say 2022 has been somehow challenging, but also at the same time, it has created opportunities for some people who know what exactly they want, or who had chances of exploiting the different avenues that exist. So that's what I would conclude about 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I've realized that despite all the challenges, hope was not lost, and which was great for us as a country. So as we approach the new year, many people, no matter your beliefs, no matter what you perceive, we always look at January as a chance for new beginnings. Actually, people approach the year with hope to find opportunities hidden in each day. We are out there to grab it. LIllian, how should we go about with this year?
First of all, what I will say is the New Year perspectives. New Year is just here, and we're already in it. Is a new beginning and a new opportunity for us to become the best vision of ourselves. Often people create New Year resolution as they reach a goal in their life, their lockdown of their good daily habits. So actually, as a person, me personally, New Year resolution for a mom should be hard, really. It's hard for us parents, not actually moms. I always say, thank you out there for those fathers who really show love to their wives show love to their children, really show love to their family. I've really used this opportunity to thank them. Really, their fathers who are really there to sacrifice, to care for their children, even more than the mothers back home. Some of the mothers, not all, but back to mothers, it's always a hard time. We tend to overthink and make it harder on ourselves. So what am I saying? That this new year, we as families going into mothers, we should try as much as possible. Our goal first is to look after ourselves. As human beings, we should try as much. Our first goal, we should set this goal for this 23 and letting free of things, trying to, first of all, set that goal to look after ourselves. Because if we are able to look after ourselves, we are able to face the society, look after the family, be able to focus on our duty as mothers, as workers out there, as citizens. But we should first of all look at ourselves and say, are we ready to face this new year? Thank you.
Thank you so much, LIllian. Carol, there is someone out there that is struggling in their employment, that is struggling in their career. What should they look out for in this 2023, or how should they do better?
Lucky, before I answer that question, I want to really say a big thank you to LIllian because I'm very guilty of what she has been saying. You know, I was thinking already 2023, I was thinking, now, what am I going to do? The children, what do I have to do this year? The one who's in boarding school, the one who's in primary 6 now. Then, you know, personally, I know Lucky personally. So I was thinking, now, Lucky, I have to make sure I give her these things for the resources for the project we have. So I want to thank LIllian because I think what she says is very important, that before we begin to stress about everybody and everything and plan for everyone around us, we need to think of ourselves. We need to take a breather and a break and just think, what does Carol want to do this year? To rest our souls and our bodies for, you know, and so that when we start, we're starting off on a good note, when we are feeling better, when we're feeling ready to go. So thank you very much, LIllian, for that reminder. I'm definitely going to take that up. In terms of for the person who is struggling with employment, and there've been many. I want to say that I think there are many opportunities out there, but we have to look for them. We really have to look for them, and we have to throw in a good dose of patience and a good dose of persistence, because I have seen that work for people. Yesterday I was chatting with a young lady at work. She had come to me sometime last year. There was a function that was being held. A motivational speaker had come into town. As Nation Media, was sponsoring the function. So she came to me and said, Carol, do you have a ticket? I'm sure you have a ticket because you manage this side of the partnerships and things like that. So I said, no, I don't really. I did have one, but someone has given me because they want me to get people to do some, you know, social media work. So I can't give you one since you're the social media desk. But I said, I'm giving it to you on one condition. When you go there, you need to come back to me and tell me what you have learned and how you intend to put it into practice. So which she did, and I'm grateful that she did. So yesterday I was telling her, I said, you know, we agreed that you're going to do this thing. So what is your plan for this year? You said all these things, but what is the actual plan? What are you going to sit down? How are you going to go about it? And so we've agreed to chat next week for her to let me know how she wants to do different things, you know, step by step in her career, to sort of, she wants to do different streams of income and not depend on only one job. She wants to be more self-aware because she said, I've realized there are things about me that I had not really thought about. Some good, and I need to, you know, improve those. Some not so good, I need to work on them. So I said, we need to have a plan on how to do that. So I think I would encourage the young people, first of all, to become self-aware and understand, who am I? What are the things that work well for me? What are my strengths? But also, what are my weaknesses? What are people saying around me that, you know, tends to irritate them? The things I do, the things I say that put people off, and how do I deal with that? So I would encourage people to first of all become self-aware. You know, learn who you are in your employment area, in your career, where you want to go. It's because knowledge is important. It is a huge thing. And then after that, I would also encourage them to like I said, to look for the opportunities. It's in some areas it's a bit easier than others. There are some areas where you find there are few experts, of people who know how to do those things. So there are jobs in plenty, or there are, can I say, gigs, as they like to call them, in plenty. But others, almost anyone can do them. So it's a bit hard to get a job in that. But I would want to encourage the young people, even middle level career, to find out and say, what is the thing I like to do? How can I start it? And how can I, go forward to do it? And I believe it's very, very possible, because it's something I actually tried this year. Like I said, I work with the mentorship, and it is my main thing right now. I also edit for the newspaper. But one of the things I did last year was to sort of think and say, what do I want to do? What I love is editing, and not just newspaper and digital stuff for the media, but also books, editing books, manuscripts, fiction, nonfiction, Christian, whatever people are writing, just to edit and make a book look better. And I went out to look for that. I realized that I was hoping people would come and say, oh, Karen, editor, edit my book. But no one came. So I had to go out and look and let people know, look, I'm an editor. I have these services. And let them know on my different social media platforms. Let friends know, let friends of friends know, my church, my OBs, my OGs. And so opportunities began to come one by one. And I was very deliberate. Whenever I would see anything to do with editing, I would go for it. If there was a seminar, I would pay for it. If there, and opportunities began to come. So I realized that a lot of the time we don't find opportunities because we're not looking for them. We need to very actively look for them, to let everyone in our circles know, I can do this, or I want to learn how to do this. And then opportunities, So I'd encourage them to do that a lot more. But also where they're working right now, where they're employed, if they're employed, to do their best as they're working, even if don't necessarily like the job very much, even if it's not the career they had hoped to take, to just do their best at what they're doing. Because when you do your best, you learn. You learn a lot. You learn more than just the job. You learn about the job, you learn skills, you learn how to deal with people, you learn how to, every small thing about the job you learn. And when you're doing well, people notice that. And when people notice that, they are happy to give you a good recommendation. They may give you a promotion. They may raise salary if you're lucky. Even if they don't, you're getting skills, you're learning more about yourself, you're learning how to deal with people, and you will transfer those skills in another place once you get that opportunity. So even if you're in a place right now that you're not happy with, don't throw it out. Don't say, just don't walk away. Say, there's something I can learn from here, whether it is building myself, growing myself as a person, learning more skills, dealing with people, learning leadership. There is something I can learn. So let me push myself to learn, even as I look for other opportunities. So that's what I can say, Lucky, about the things that people can start to try and do in 2023.
Wow, thank you so much. I think most of the time we are guilty of complaining other than doing our best. Thank you so much for putting that clear. And I hope someone viewing this program has picked a leaf, if not a whole tree. Our dear viewers, I remind you, you're watching Community Voices, UG. It's a program that comes to you every Monday afternoon from 2 p.m. on Civic Space TV. You can follow live using the hashtag Community Voices, UG, and hashtag Civic Space TV. Daniel, how should we go about with this 2023?
Oh, thanks, Lucky. I think most of the things have been mentioned by LIllian and Carol, but the one thing I think 2023 should have, or what everyone should carry along with them, is consistency. I always see, like you have seen, everyone is dropping in New Year resolutions on their statuses and all this. But at the end of the day are you consistent with what you said you will be doing? I see people who say, this year I want to be fit. This year I want to make money. But then they do certain things maybe for just the first 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden they drop. Now, when you drop off from what you intended to do, then that means you lack consistency. And when you lack consistency, usually results are not going to come out. People start businesses and people want maybe an extra source of income. The problem is, are you consistent in what you're doing? I always see people who start up projects, and then because the project has failed a little bit and they have made a little bit of losses, they decide to jump to something else. I know I have friends someone who has maybe tried out 5 different businesses in a year. They try out this, and then all of a sudden they see it's not working well. Then another idea comes up, and you can't run 10 races and expect to win at the end of the day. You're always like athletes, you see being an athlete, it takes you much practice for you to perfect your skill at the end of the day. So if you're going to tell me today you're doing this, tomorrow you're doing that, tomorrow you're doing that, then you will lack what we call experience. So me, what I would call for in this new year is consistency. If people are consistent on what they're doing, then at the end of the day, they are going to have good results. And that is one thing that I would wish everyone to have. Then the other thing is to push harder. Carol talked about something where, most of the times you have something, you know you are capable of doing something, but you shy away from, pushing harder to see it progress or see it grow. I know very many people who are talented in different things. Graphic designers, people who are good at emceeing, people who are good at moderation and things like this, but they do not explore the opportunities they have. And that is why at the end of the day, someone who has pushed harder ends up succeeding, and you are like, oh, I'm better than this. I know, like, I always keep telling people that sometimes you're seated home and you're watching TV, and there's a TV presenter you're seeing doing something, and you're like, I think I'm way better than this person. But the issue is, have you taken chance, or have you taken this opportunity of saying, let me try and see if really I can reach this level? Because most times we just sit down and say, oh, I think I'm good at this. But are you trying it out to really show people that you're good at something? Because sometimes you might actually be very good, but if you do not take an opportunity to do some things, then how sure are we that you're good? There's a book I read some time back, and it was talking about the 4 steps of learning certain things. There's a stage where you are actually unconscious about the skill you have. That means you totally do not know whether you are good at something. Then there is a stage where you are conscious about something you think you are, or you think you can do. But you can only be conscious enough beyond that if you try to practice it out and see, am I really good at it? So if you do not take a step, then at the end of the day, there's nothing much you're going to do. It will just keep on, you keep postponing. And this is why very many people end up being victims of procrastination, because we keep saying, I will do this with time, or I will try. But if you push harder, then at the end of the day, you will know where your weaknesses are. Someone has talked about, finding out your weaknesses and your strengths. Sometimes we actually try to hide our weaknesses. You have something challenging. At the end of the year, towards the end of the year 2022, we had a retreat. And I remember one of the questions that was asked by one of our bosses was, can you write down some of your weaknesses? And people were, people felt it was quite hard. But sometimes, because you have heard what people are saying, people might say you're not so good at this, or your problem is this, you complain a lot, or you do this. But at the end of the day, most of us like to take that as, this person just doesn't like me. But maybe the person is actually pointing out, and it's a fact. So if we do not accept most of our challenges, then there's no way we can work around them. Because if I do not accept that something is a problem to me, then how am I going to find a solution to it? I think it is better for us to start accepting some of the problems we have personally, and start looking at, how do I change? How do I improve some of these things? That is the only way we are going to find growth in this new year. So for me, I would believe that, one, consistency, then pushing harder. Then the other thing is, I think we are getting so much into the state of high levels of depression lately, majorly because of, according to me, I think it's social media influence as well. Because if someone buys a car, if an OB colleague buys a car and posts their progress on social media, you actually, instead of being inspired, sometimes you are comparing yourself. You're like, I was in class with this person, I was better than this person in class, and now this person is like this and like this. And this is kicking in, bringing out what we are calling depression. This is the same reason as to why people are now going for their jobs and they are not happy. Because you think, okay, I should be like him. I was in the same school with him, but he's getting 10 times what I am getting. Look at what you have. Create more avenues to also grow. Because at the end of the day, the issue is, have you grown enough? And also the other thing is, are you, first of all, grateful for what you have? Because most of the times, we might look at what we have as being something very small, but there's someone out there who's actually praying beyond that. I always like telling my young brothers that at the end of the day that sometimes you're complaining, you see this, I'm broke and all this. But imagine there's someone out there who totally has nothing. There's someone out there, we are complaining that, Kampala weather is bad, it rains. But there are people out there who are facing floods and homes are destroyed. We have hurricanes going on. Are we actually grateful for the little that we have? Because that is where it starts. When you're grateful for something that you have at the start, at the end of the day, you're going to start looking at, how do I grow beyond this? But first of all, starting with being grateful. LIllian was talking about marriages. I know very many people are having challenges, especially in marriage, because of one thing. Not, first of all, looking at the little contribution that the other person is bringing into the relationship. We are always looking at the weaknesses. Oh, you are like this. Oh, you are like this. Oh, you are like that. But at the end of the day, if we start, first of all, appreciating the little things that this person is bringing, then we shall try to see how best can we work out on the other negative side to build it such that the relationship flourishes. Instead, we are looking at, the other couple. You know, there's always this issue of power couple or something like that. So you want your man or your woman to be the same way the others are. They also have their own challenges, that just that we do not know them. They might be having their own other personal challenges that we don't know of. But just because we are seeing something that glitters from the outside, we think it's good. Sometimes what glitters from the outside might actually not be what we think it is. So for me, I would say consistency. Let us stop this mentality of trying to compare ourselves, and to an extent that we enter into depression. I'm thinking, let us just be inspired, and we also work hard instead of being people who become envious at a certain moment. And also, let us try as much as possible this year to push harder. Things are hard for everyone, but it's just people who push harder and harder who actually try to strive and make it through. People are talking about having extra sources of income. The issue is, yes, having extra sources of income is good, but the issue is, how committed are you towards all these things? Are you willing to say, I am going to balance my daytime job and also balance the other side? Or are you going to say, I am strictly going to leave the daytime job or the 8 to 5 job and strictly focus on my other things? So you need to first have a plan. Kara has talked about this. Sit down, look at what exactly am I going to work on. Most of the times we just draw up and say, New Year resolution, I am going to do this. New Year resolution, I am quitting my job. But the question is, before you quit your job, do you have something already in the bag that is waiting for you? Do you have a plan? Do you have an exit plan? Something that is going to move you on from that time? Because sometimes you are just, you are mad by emotions and you're like, last year they didn't treat me well, so I am not going back. Now 2023 is here. You are not going back then. But what are you starting with? Maybe you don't even have any savings to start with. So let us look at all the things and focus on what next. But start from where Carol mentioned. Start with a plan. Look at how best you're going to move. If something, and as you're drawing your plans, also draw some of the challenges that might arise. Most of the times when we are starting a business, we are not looking at, in case it fails, how am I going to move on? Sometimes we are not looking at that. And that is the reason why you see very many businesses do not see their first, maybe even first birthday. We start projects. When something just happens all of a sudden, we are like, oh God, now this is, I'm tired. I'm not going to do anything else. I think I'm just going to quit. And that is why you see, they say quitters never win. And like winners are always people who keep striving and moving on. So I think for me, that's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you. That was really inspiring and very, very wise. I hope someone watching this show is really taking a new shape of their 2023. And we are glad that we are here. Talking of New Year resolutions, LIllian, should we still do them or write them or say them out, even if we know we won't keep them or we won't see them make fruits? Because in this adult life, we see many people say, I want to be fit. Then before you know it, you're eating more than you used to eat. So should we still do them, even if we know we won't keep them? LIllian.
Yes, we can still do the New Year resolution. For myself, what I do for my New Year, what I have done, I write my list down. and I hand it over to God, because it's only God who can plan. We human beings, we plan it, but God has the final say. So putting this New Year's resolution, it's good, but it's between you, yourself, and your God. No need of saying it out, but also at the same time, when we are doing these New Year's resolutions, we should also think about the children. Me, I always talk about children, because it's whatever we do, it's what the children do. You said, show me who you are. So if whatever we do, like whatever we say, as parents, what we are doing, we have to, what I always want is for us to create that bond, that strong ties to our children. So it's not only we, the parents, we humans who are doing, but also we should look into our children. When we are doing these resolutions, we should also think about the children. We should think about our family, because these kids are important to us. To do the same thing as parents. We do what we say is what the children do, okay, in our daily lives. So we should try as much, whatever we do, if we do it right, it will help the children positively. If we do it bad, it will affect the children negatively. So we are the most important teachers, the first important teachers to these children. So when we are doing this resolution, we should first of all think about ourselves, leave everything to God, look into our families, see how to amend things, help our children out, because it's become really a problem now. No bond. Why I'm emphasizing on bond with parents. Tomorrow you're hearing a child loves the mother more. The father complains that the child is not loving him. It's the bond you are not having. And we as the working parents, we should try as much as possible. I know whatever is happening because of jobs, everybody wants to work, everybody wants to make money, but we tend to forget about the family, we forget about the children. We care about the job more than even the children by dumping the children into boarding schools. And these children now confine on their friends. It's whatever that is going on. That's why I'm saying it as a counselor. It's what is going on, and that is what I am really looking on this new year. I'm able to talk to children, talk to parents, create a time to talk to parents, let them understand more that these children need our bond. So while on this holiday, when we are making New Year's resolution, we should try as much as possible to sit with these children, talk to them, and see how to bond with them, see how to be free with them. And also, my perspective in the line of work, as a leader, as a parent, I think the first thing is to us to create a life of peace, okay? While we are having fun, we should try as much as possible this new year, we should try as much as possible to create a life of peace. Focus on our priorities, okay? To let go of the ideas, I have to do everything. Focus on your priorities and not worry about the rest. Focus more on the positive to help keep life going. Focus on your positive thinking. Focus, even in your office, on whatever you're doing when you're planning. Look on the bright side of things. Balance your work and your life. Focus on everything, opportunities for your life to ease your stress and anxiety, and find, while you are having fun, positive side of whatever happens to you this year. So whatever you're doing, whatever we are doing, is for us to focus, find peace, able to bond with our family. Make that resolution you're making. That is between you, yourself, and your God. It's always good to have it. But I know it's not easy. But I believe that whatever you do, you leave it to God. For me, I write it down. I said, this is what I want. This is what I wish. I leave it to God. It's now at the end of the year. It was 2022. I came in, picked whatever I was reading. I looked at it, I said, okay, I think I was able to achieve this. Oh, God did this for me. I was able to do this. Oh, this was not done. Then I wrote another one for the new year, but I leave everything for God, because we human beings, we plan, but God Almighty has the final say. So we only put our effort and try our best as citizens. Thank you.
Carol, what is your perspective about a New Year resolution?
I believe that they're very important. I find it interesting when people say, no, I don't make those, they don't work. I think it is up to us to make them work. And like LIllian said, to put them before God and say, God does that. First of all, even to ask God and say, I am making these resolutions. Are they in line with your will for me in this year? And save yourself disappointment. If you really go before God and say, God, if it's not, let me know, so that I don't pursue something that really is not going to work, or you've not set it out for me, or it might work, but it's just not what you have wanted for me, and I may miss out on something. So I believe resolutions work. I believe that, but you have to think about them really seriously before you put them. And it depends on how you want to do it. See what works for you. Some people make resolutions at the beginning of the year, and it works well for them. Others make them on their birthdays. I know a number of friends, if for them, that is their new year. So if my birthday is on, it's in August 7th, I will say that is my new year. And because that was, I'm celebrating another year. So they will make resolutions at that time because they feel I've had a new year, I'm starting another fresh year. They will feel that that's a better time for them to, make their resolutions. Others make resolutions, but in batches. They say, okay, I'm not going to do a whole 2023 thing. It may be a bit intimidating. So I'm going to do for 3 months, in quarters. I'll say this first 3 months, I'm going to do this. Then I'll move on. Then after I'll assess and I'll say, how have I gone? How have I done? I've done this. I didn't do this. Let me retweak. And then the next 3 months, and do it that way. So there are different ways that people can do their resolutions. That is one of them. Another thing also is to find ways, and I think there's many nowadays. There's many different ways to do it. One, you can decide to do it personally. You can say, I want this 2023 to be a personal year of different growth of things, and decide to do your own. There's things that are called vision boards. People do nowadays. They get a whole board. Either they buy one or they create one themselves and put things they want to do, put photos, to remind them. It's a fun looking thing. So it's not just lists of, 10 things, but it's like, if you think the gym, then you sort of put the kind of food you want to eat, or the kind of, maybe body you want to have. So it kind of, makes you interested towards that. So you can do a vision board, for example, or you can decide that I'm going to do this as, we're going to do a family. So you sit with your family and you agree, and people come up with different things, and it's exciting. The children say no. And you'd be very interested. It would be very interesting to hear what your children think you should, as a family, you should do. A lot of the time we don't include them. We assume, no, we're the adults. We're going to determine what this year is about and how we're going to do it. But sometimes bring in the children and say, what do you want us to do? What do you think we've been doing well and we haven't? And it'd be interesting to hear what their thoughts and I'm very sure you'd pick a couple of things and say, they are speaking to us, they're saying this, we need to change this, or this is an idea we had never thought about, let's do it. So I think you can do it as a family, you can do it as a couple, you can do it at work with a number of friends whom you're the same mind, you can do it with a business partner, and you can do different ones. You can decide to do for myself and for the family, or for the family and our business. So there are different things you can do. It doesn't have to be particular way. And then also you can find different, if you go online, you can find different formats to do, you'll find that they'll give you, if you go on, you just go simply to Google and check out and say, how to do it in New Year's resolutions, or forms to do them. You'll find forms that are very, very helpful, because by yourself, you may just think, okay, I want to grow fitter. I want to, earn more money. I want to maybe improve my relationship with God or my marriage. Which are all good things, but now they are kind of vague, they're huge, they're out there. But you'll find there are some forms that will ask you very specific details. They'll say, for example, they say, okay, they'll say, what is your goal? Name one goal. So you put the goal, I want to improve my marriage. Maybe it wasn't so good in 2022. All right. So then they'll ask you deeper questions. What did not go right? And then you say, maybe we did not spend our finances were not so good, or we argued over this issue, or we didn't spend enough quality time together. Then it will ask you to break it down even further. Say, okay, those are the ones. Let's go. It will ask you to put one issue one by one. What could you have done better? Now that you think about it, now that you think we didn't have quality time, what could you have done better? okay, we should have at least had a date, once a month. We should have at least, celebrated each other's birthdays or their anniversary. We should have at least, spoken more about money. We didn't speak until it was a problem. So we should have done that before. We should have said, oh, this money has come in. What do we do with it together? Or how do we split? Or how do we? So it's very helpful. So it starts to break down things. And by the time you're now writing your resolution, it is telling you what are the 3 things you want to improve in your marriage. How exactly are you going to improve them? Write a statement so that it's very, very broken down and said, I want to improve my marriage. These are the things. I want to spend more quality time together. How will I do it? I will, try and make sure that each month we set a date and go out for a coffee or a tea. I will ensure that every time we get money, I speak about it. I say, oh, honey, we received this money. This is what I intend to do, or that sort of thing. Then it becomes a lot easier for you to visualize it. And it also is giving you very detailed steps of how you can do this thing. So I feel that there's so many ways we can do resolutions. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the first of the year. You can determine when. It doesn't have to be you alone. You can do it with friends, or you can do it alone if that really works for you. If you want that, you can do it with friends. You can even get someone to look through your resolution and say, I've done this. Does it make sense? Someone you trust, someone who, will give you good feedback. And they'll get back to you and they'll say, this makes sense. Or you've been doing this. You've been saying this for the last 3-4 years, but it's not been. So what are you going to do different? So I think there are many ways you can do the resolutions. And I think that when you have an accountability partner, when you've told someone these are things I want to do and they're aware about it, and a person who can really push you, then they'll keep checking on you and saying, you had said this 2 months down the road. How is it going? What are the challenges? How have you been able to fix it? Is it time to drop it now because it's just not working? Or is it time to rethink how to do it? So I think the resolutions are a good thing. I would encourage people to do it. I just encourage them to look at it differently and not look at it as something that we do, but that cannot be done. It's about choosing the resolutions well, talking to your maker and saying, I have these resolutions, show me if they're the right ones. And then, being very detailed about them. Not too much, just even if you pick only 2 resolutions in the year, but then breaking it down and then knowing what steps exactly I'm going to take, day by day, week by week, month by month. So it's about knowing that and then, proceeding. And then one thing I also like about resolutions that I found somewhere, I read it, I now put it in my resolution, but I found it, I do to-do list. So every day I have not every day, but many days I say, oh, today I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this report. I'm going to send these emails. So it said that a lot of the time this article I read, it said many times when we make those lists, we put things that are, big and which is good. But at the end of the day, if we don't meet them, we feel deflated. I was supposed to do this report. I only did half of it. I was supposed to send, 3 emails. I only sent 1 because, something else came up and I had to do it. I was supposed to have gone for this meeting. I went for the meeting, but it didn't go well. So you find that you're deflated because you feel like I didn't do what I'd set out to do. Or you find that when you make the resolution for the year, you find that because they were so big, you sort of, and maybe you went halfway and that you sort of didn't finish. So it said, put things that, will stretch you, that will make you really work hard, but put things, also are achievable and that will make you happy. So a big resolution for me might be, I want to make more money, but now I'm very busy in my job. It's, 20, I work for it, 5 days a week and weekends are for family and everything. So how am I going to, it's something you really want to do, but it's it's also a big task, but you're prepared to do it. So that's a big thing. But put in something small that, this one I can achieve. I am pretty sure I can achieve. So maybe you have a hobby and you say, like Daniel was saying, I can MC, I have that, I can moderate sessions. So you sort of tell yourself, whether it is at work, whether it is at the family function, whether it's at the neighborhood community thing, I'm going to put myself out there and make sure that I moderate a session. I MC my cousin's, birthday. We will only be 15 people at the home or at the function, but I'll be the MC. And you do it, and it's very achievable. It's achievable. People trust you to do it, and then you do it. So put things in there. So mix up your resolution. Let there be things that are going to stretch you, but let there be things that are fun to do, exciting to do. So things about working hard towards doing something, but things about fun also. Things about that also have your interest. Like for example, like me, I like to read. Or I like to go, for example, I like to go to the spa, and I rarely do it. It's very weird. I rarely do it. So every year I sort of tell myself, no, I must go, at least I must put 2 days or something in the year. So that it feels it's a nice resolution list. And there are things that are achievable. There are things that are going to stretch me. There are things that are hard, yes, but there are things that are fun. So I think if we look at resolutions that way, then it becomes exciting to do. And at the end of the year, we can say, great, I was not able to do some, but I was able to do this. I managed to do this hard one. I didn't do this one, so I need to see what went wrong. I managed to do this fun thing. I didn't do the other one, but now I've packed it. I can do it next year. So that it's a fun thing. And when you're looking back, we're like, we are happy. We are satisfied because we did part of what we had set out to do. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. I saw a comment on social media saying that talk to me directly. I must say that you guys have really talked to me directly. Daniel, bring it on.
Thank you, Lucky. I think Carol has summarized it all for me. But also the other extra thing I wanted to add on, especially when it comes to the New Year resolutions, one thing I would actually tell people is it's a good thing, but I want people to always set resolutions or targets that are viable, practical, and also achievable. I always see sometimes people going overboard, setting maybe resolutions that are a little bit out of context. I would say, oh, maybe they are way beyond what you think could be achieved. Then at the end of the day, as the year comes to the end, you find maybe you could not achieve it because there were very many obstacles that were limiting you from achieving it. Also because you set something that was way too big for you. Then at the end of the day, you feel like a failure. The year is ending and people, are celebrating their little success and, they have their achievements here and there. And for you, you're feeling down because you think, okay, I failed this. But also, but when you look back, it's maybe the challenge might have started from the resolution you set. That's why we are saying if you're setting something, set something that is achievable, but also at the same time, don't set something that is so small. We need to challenge ourselves. Life is about challenging yourself. If you can't challenge yourself, then it also becomes very boring. Recently, I was talking to a friend who told me that, sometimes we ask for leave. And then, you feel like, you're really drained out. Then you ask for leave. Then you stay home, you ask for a whole week. Then you stay home 2 days and you feel like, I really need to go back to work. It's how the body is. The body doesn't just necessarily need to just stay stagnant. It always needs to be challenged at certain moments. So yeah, the New Year resolutions are great. They inspire us, they drive us. But let us set something which we look at and know we can achieve. I can't just get up and say, tomorrow I want to buy a private jet. It would sound a little bit ridiculous. Or I'm going to work towards getting $1 billion. But if I set something and I know I can achieve it, I am going to be driven towards achieving it. I have to challenge myself, but I have to also put the other reality bit of the challenge in mind. I'm asking myself, how can I achieve this? Do I have the time? That is why you see, it's always good to plan, not just setting things and not planning for them. So for me, I think yes. And then the other thing is, the one good thing about the resolutions is, you see, when you set up something and you drive yourself, your mind is set towards what you have come up with. There's a book I'm reading that I've been reading of recent, and it talks about how the power of the tongue. You set up something, you say, I want to achieve this, and your whole system is working towards it. And if you say, I cannot do this, sometimes your body also goes by what you say. So it's like when you affirm something that, I don't think this is good, I don't think this is good. Indeed, even if it was to be good, then it will turn out to be bad. So the resolutions actually drive us in a certain direction. So I recommend it, but I recommend something that if you're going to set up a resolution that works for you. Sometimes I see people setting up resolutions because my brother set up the same resolution, let me do the same. Because my colleagues at work have set up a resolution to do this, let me do the same. No, set up something that works for you, something that is for you, not something that is for someone else. Because when it is something that is for someone else, you will measure the success or its failure according to how the other person's things have turned out. There's always something I always like telling some of the youth, that if you go to school and at the end of the day results, you assessed and results come back and maybe most of you have failed, and you are happy because the rest have failed, then you wouldn't have gone to school to study for yourself. Instead, you have gone to school to compare yourself to others. I remember there was a statement that one time my young brother made to my dad when he was asked why he got a 53 in English, and he said, but the best got 56. The question is, did you go to study for the best? Or, I mean, did you go to study to compare yourself with the best, or you went to study to pass? So at the end of the day, I believe this, to me, is something that we need to work on. Set up something that actually calls and, you know, is in line with what your heart truly talks about. You see, when we talk about these desires that the heart has, these desires always drive to those fundamental ones of really something you love, something that brings you happiness, something that you find is just according to you, and all these kind of things. So at the end of the day, we're asking, the resolutions you're talking about, are they really what your heart yearns for? Or you're just setting them because everyone else is setting them? Because, you know, sometimes we just put up some things. It's like LIllian is a person who is a counselor in relationships and marriage. Some people get married just because I am growing old. Then that means you're married for the wrong reason. If you're saying, oh, you see, my parents are putting me on pressure, so any man who comes around, I'm going to get married. Are you really into the marriage? Are you really into a relationship with this person that you're married to? If you're not, then at the end of the day, it is just on paper. It is not marriage, actually, because there's nothing that binds you. There's nothing like love within it. So at the end of the day, let us look at, does the resolution also connect with me and me as a person? Is it something that calls out for my own personality? So such that at the end of the day, when I'm working towards it, there's that drive that also motivates me, because there's a way what I want connects with what I am, how I am working towards achieving it. So for me, I think that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. At this moment, I will invite our panelists to give in their parting shots. But I want to remind you that you can follow us live on Civic Space TV. We are on YouTube. We are borderless. So wherever you are, just click on and you will have us. Also remember to subscribe to the channel. And you can follow live with the hashtag Civic Space TV. And specifically for this program, you can follow with Community Voices UG. LIllian, please give us your parting shot.
Yes, thank you very much, Loki. Thank you, Civic Space TV, for hosting us. Thank you, everyone. Once again, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2023. Before we depart, what I could say is both family and those about to get married, when we are getting married, learn to understand each other's value. Apart from loving each other, we should have the value of, while we are getting into our relationship, while we are getting into marriage. So we should most of all look at those values. We should have values for each other. Then as couples, those who are already married with family, as husbands and wife, please, whatever we are doing, let us not do it in front of our children. We should try as much as possible not to fight in front of our children, not to exchange words in front of our kids. Also, keep the effects of the clash you have with your spouse away from your kids, because it will definitely affect them. Also, the thing we need to do is, because whatever we do, at the end of this day, these children put blames on themselves. Maybe they are the cause of it, why mommy and daddy are having issues. So what I will say is, while we are making this new year, as we have entered this new year, we are in here, we should try as much as possible as families. We should try as much as possible to come together to settle out our issues. Those who are in terms of about to divorce, let's look into what we are really, if our divorce really important, some is good, some is bad, but let's look into it and see, because whatever we do really affects our children. And we see out of 100% of families, I think 20% have really tried as much as possible to discipline their children out in the society. What are able also to voice out to families and parents? Let's teach our children, because I've seen a lot of children are hardly, they don't learn to greet people. It's something that it's not really in them. So let's try as much as possible to talk to these kids, try to discipline them, talk to them during this holiday period. Let's not just allow them to go back to school the way they came, just providing them everything they want. We as parents, as families, try to come together as one, see how to bring up our families. Let us not mix our office duties with family issues. Let's not bring problems from office to bring them back home to put on our different partners. Let's know the value of each other. Let's value each other so that we can always live in peace and harmony in this new year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, LIllian. Carol?
Thank you, Lucky. So I think for me, when I look back at 2022, I think it's been a mixed bag for many people, different people. I know some people who it was a very good year. I attended 2 weddings. My friends were very happy that happened for them. I saw people who left, for example, my workplace, they got different jobs, better jobs, promotions. Others, their businesses sort of took off or grew. So for the number of people who I saw personally, who things have just gone wonderfully well for them. And then there are those for whom it's been a difficult year. 2022 was a difficult year for them. They lost loved ones, parents, a spouse. The job has not been good. It's been difficult to settle in it. The business has gone through a rough patch, or maybe they've had a rough patch with their children, like LIllian has been saying, or even Daniel. What Daniel said is very true. Many people are experiencing depression, and younger people. So I think I've seen parents who have seen their children and they can't believe that what is happening to my daughter and my son. Like, I'm trying so hard, but it's like they're in a different world. So I've seen people who have gone through very difficult, situations, whether it's a loss of someone, whether it's a change in attitude of a person next to them, whether it's their spouse or their child or a sibling or something like that. I know of a couple who are planning on getting married. Debts were set, even things were paid, but the marriage was put on hold. The 2 of them decided to do that because they realized there were things they needed to deal with. So for some people, it's been very hard. And then for others, it's been a mixed bag. It's been a mixed bag of things. Some things good, some things bad. Others, it's been a dull year. They feel like, I want to forget 2022. It says, they just don't want it to ever remember that it happened. So everyone is coming from, different perspectives, different experiences. But my encouragement would be for anyone to look at 2023 as, like how you have an A4 piece of paper, clean piece of paper, nothing on it yet. It's, it's fresh. It's hardly written on. You have a pen, you have a pencil or colors. People think differently. Some people want to write with a pen, others want to draw, others want to color, others want to paint with different paints. Others might look at it like, on the screen, maybe it's a fresh, on Word or Illustrator, wherever it is, and it's fresh. And I would encourage people to look at it and say, this is 2023. What do you want to do with it? Where do you want it to go? Despite what 2022 came with, whether it was pain or loss or gain or happiness, this is another year now. What do you want to do with it? Where do you want it to go? Because when we do that, like Daniel was saying, when we open our hearts and when we are grateful for the things that went right, however bad the year was, it takes us a step a bit ahead, and it begins to open our minds up to saying that things can still go well. So my encouragement would be, especially now, maybe I would say to the young people, to the people who I have been mentoring, or people who are out there who are just wondering, 2023, now what? Is look at it as a fresh page and say, what do I want to do with this fresh page? What do I want 2023 to? What do I want to remember it for? And begin to take, those steps to do that for themselves. And I would encourage other people, especially the older ones, even younger ones, to mentor people. It's a beautiful thing to mentor people, but so many people are in need of it. And it's funny. It's not only young people who are in need of mentorship, even older people. I realized that, there's some, I was in a mentorship program where we were much older. There was, I chose a group where it was to be a mentor, where it was people who are my age, literally, much older than the 20s or the 30s. And I realized for them, it was so eye-opening, mistakes they had made. Now they knew how to do better in their careers. Now they knew who to talk to when they have a problem, and not to keep quiet and die by themselves, but to speak up. They learned so many things at the age of 40, And they kept thinking, I wish I had had this when I was 20, even when I was 30. But we said, it's okay. It's not too late. Even at 40, we can still make a difference. So it doesn't mean that only the 20-year-olds and the teens and need mentorship. Even a 70-year-old, as long as they're fit and they're doing things, can look up to someone who is 5 years older, 10 years older, and sort of say, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with grandchildren? Or how do you deal with, you have children at this age, they're now grown up, I can't make them do things. But, I struggle to see when they're making mistakes, and it's now they are old. I can't tell a 40-year-old what to do or a 50-year-old. And, the person who's 5 years older will probably give them some good advice and that sort of thing. So mentorship is across. It's not only for the young people. Anyone can, I would say everyone deserves a mentor, a good mentor. So I'd encourage people to be mentors, regardless of which situation you are, to give of yourself, regardless of who it is, whether it's at the workplace, whether it's at the home, in your church. Look for people to mentor and pour into them. And then for the young ones or anyone else, look for someone you can say, I think I want this person to be my mentor. I want them to walk with me, give me advice, I can share my thoughts with, I can share my plans with, and they can tell me what their thoughts are. So, and to be deliberate about finding a person you can gel with and bond with and you respect, and that they will add to your life. So for me, that would be it. Letting people know that 2023 is a new year, it's a fresh year, despite what has happened in 2022. What do we want for 2023? You have that power, that God has given you that power as a person. He has given you the mind to think. He has given you the spirit to speak to him. So just, open, your mind, open your heart and say, okay, God, 2023 is here. How do we do this now? How do we go? I am set to do, I want it to be a wonderful year. So show me what I can do to make it wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh, Daniel.
Thank you, Lucky. First of all, thank you to everyone. Also, a big thanks to Civic Space TV for giving me this opportunity. I think my concluding remarks would be, let 2023 be a good year. How? One thing is, let's not be so hard on ourselves. We are not actually competing with anyone. The only competition is you yourself. So don't be so hard on yourself. But also remember to commit towards whatever goals you want to achieve, because success doesn't come easily. It takes time and also takes commitment towards you seeing this come to life. And also the other thing is, I think let's be inspired by other people's progress, not envious, because at the end of the day, when we become envious, we are now competing with the other person instead of learning from the other person how the steps they have taken into growth and also into achieving whatever goals they have achieved. And the other thing is, let's put God first. If you have something, if you have a goal you want to achieve, you're setting up these resolutions. LIllian and Carol talked about this earlier on. Let's put God first. Pray about it. Work towards it. Pray and also put your commitment towards it. And trust me, success will follow. And so, yeah, basically that is what I can say. There's something small that Carol has highlighted. I know 2022 might have not been so good for most people, but let's look at 2023 like a fresh start. Let's say, okay, if last season didn't go so well, this is a new season. How am I going to work towards this new season? Let us look at everything afresh. Let's not carry the burdens of 2022 into the new year. Let us not carry all these excess baggages of, blame and here, there into the new year. Let us look at the new year as something fresh. Let us have, if maybe something didn't go well, ask yourself, how best can I adjust to see to it that at least this new year, I work things out and things flow smoothly for me. So from me, this is all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our great panelists. Today we've been having Daniel Angulu, LIllian Yikii, and Carol Beyanga. And I know that they have set the right foot for 2023. And from me to you, I'll say set goals that are flexible and that will allow you to adjust both in your personal life and the world around you. Remember to be optimistic rather than passive. From Civic Space, we wish you a happy new year and may your 2023 be more prosperous. Best year you have ever had. God bless you and see you again. I've been your host, Ninsiima. Thank you.